Oh my gosh, he knows the future. He really does. Wow, great support. Nice. Oh, goosebumps. Grief is the price we pay to experience love. And I think Frieren understands that. That's her emotional growth. And again, this is a flashback to remind us how far she has come, truly. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated licensed psychotherapist and your favorite yapper. Happy Freedom Friday, everyone. Shout out to Athathination Zero, Tirtanas, Uixiang, Samsonian, Helixy, Jane Ichimaru, Roxy Love, Maxi Tissi, and Adam Chavez for being the founding sponsors of my videos. Appreciate your support. Last week's episode was quite subtle, so let's see what episode 2 is all about today. Remember, you matter. You are worthy. Sit back, and I hope you enjoy. Did you see that? As soon as Frieren is like, what is the reward? This Mr. Miyagi Mysterious Dude 2.0 is like a spell to scratch her back. Before he even finished his sentence, we see Frieren extending her hand for a handshake. Verbal agreements. Say less. Because remember, this is a reference to Frieren's eternal youth, her forever hobby of collecting spells. And let's be honest, having a spell that scratches our backs will be sublime, will be perfect. Seemingly useless, seemingly impractical in terms of combat, but paying homage to Himo the hero, because life is not just about combat. Just like why Flemid, the legendary mage, told Zairi that you and I could never defeat the Demon King because we cannot imagine, visualize a peaceful era, but Frieren can. It's all about looking for the miracle in the mundane. And what is more mundane than laundry spell, flower creating spell, or in this case, a spell that scratches your back? Deeply, deeply profound. So much symbolism there. 29 years after Himo the hero's passing. Also, can we talk about the party? They're chronically unemployed. Or they're freelancing. They're going from jobs to job, which is literally what freelancing is all about. Oh, who is this? Is this Hero of the South? I like his Pringle mustache. Very fashionable. Deep. Wow. Wow. Goosebumps. It's interesting that Hero of the South was bestowed the title of being the strongest warrior of the humanity. And when Stark challenged that, hey, that's kind of extreme. Shouldn't Himo the hero be worthy of that title? Because he is the hero among the heroes party that defeated the Demon King. But Frieren's like, I wouldn't say that. I think he was worthy. And again, that speaks to Frieren's more stoic, I guess, representations and outlook. Whereas I think Stark grew up with the lore, with the legends of Himo the hero. So Stark has more personal biases and cognitive biases, which everyone, all of us, right? We all have that, cognitive biases. But because of Frieren's immortality and her wisdom, experiential learning, she's able to detach despite having that personal relationship with Himo the hero and be very objective, almost empirical, that I think he was worthy of that title. And I'm sure this is further context about that. 2 of 7. Aura became the subject of aura farming for Frieren. Frieren literally aura farms. He was very strong. Wow. Dang! By himself? Wow.
1000年後の未来まで見通す魔法を操るとされた全知の修羅ハトと集結した全七宝剣によって
He defeated one of the sages who could see 1,000 years into the future? How do you defeat an enemy that has the knowledge and the power of foresight? The magic of foresight, seeing the future. Like the Oracle. It's almost like fighting that Oracle from Matrix, right? How do you... That's impressive. Wow. Again, that directly and indirectly speaks to how OP and truly powerful and worthy Hero of the South, being known as the strongest of the humanity. Wow. I don't know if he had the support of other characters or by his sole efforts, he defeated 3 of the 7. And even Frieren said it. They were able to defeat the 2, but Hero of the South defeated the 3. Dang. Oh, man.
今でも南の勇者と全知の修羅ハトの戦いは続いていると言われる伝説まである。
Oh, jeez. It's likely that he was eaten since his body was never found, and obviously demons, they crave and they go after the flesh of humans, just like animals, like cannibalism, obviously, but to them, it's not of the same species. And this is, I think, another subtle reference and callback to episode 12 in season 1, A True Hero. Oh, I think it was called A Real Hero. And obviously in that episode, they directly and indirectly spotlighted numerous heroes. Of course, Himo the hero, although he couldn't pull out the sword, which means what? He did not become a hero because of the super, divine weapon that we call, that sword. But rather, he truly embodied the spirit of what heroism means. Creating legacy, helping people, true altruism. And we saw that inspired Verbal, who stepped up to the front line to become a mage himself, and so many other big and small legacies. Because remember, like I said, we do not get to decide what our legacy is. Our legacy making, is entirely determined by the impact we leave behind. And many times we're just planting the seed, but someone else come along and they water that seed. And if fortunate enough, some people get to see that seed blossoming into beautiful fruits of labor. In this case, heroism. And I think it's the same case here, that there were many heroes who came before Himo the hero and Hero's party. And Himo the hero, through the culmination, sacrifice, literal blood, sweat, and tears that came before him. He had the good fortune and the plot armor bestowed by the writers, with Aizen the warrior, Heizer the bishop, and Frieren, the gray mage. Together, they were able to defeat the demon king. But that is not to say Himo the hero was the most powerful or the only hero. He was one of many true heroes, real heroes. Again, call back to episode 12 in season 1. And sounds like this region that they're traveling towards the ends, the northern front, they worship and they, respect Hero of the South the most, because Hero of the South is the hero according to their legends, and he was the one that created his legacy by saving people and creating this long-lasting impact.
断る。 私じゃ魔王には勝てないよ。
Whoa, sick transition. I guess we're starting with a memory recall and a callback to Frieren's interaction and encounter with Hero of the South. Again, I love his Pringle mustache. Very suave.
やはり無理か。私は君を説得するだけの言葉を持ち合わせていない。
まるで結果が分かっていたかのような物言いだね。
実際に分かっていたのだよ。
How?
君には言っても問題ないな。
Does he also see the future?
だから君にだけは教えよう。この私の人類最強たるゆえんを。私には未来が見えるのだ。
Goosebumps. He also sees the future? What kind of a parallel process and a setup is this? Hero of the South, the strongest hero of the humanity, since his time was before him of the hero, I'm guessing. And the first hero that was able to defeat that sage, that could also see 1,000 years into the future, has the magic of foresight. No wonder he is the hero that defeated the opponent, the sage. Because he too wields the power of foresight. He could also see the future. That is fascinating. I'm gonna save my yapping for further disclosure because my mind's going crazy. Like, how does that work with cognitive science? Because we always say in hindsight, 2020. But what happens to your cognitive processing, your brain, your mental health, your emotions, when you can concurrently or simultaneously wield the power of hindsight 2020 in the present tense? How would that influence your behaviors? How would it influence your actions? How would that influence this, I guess, psychological tension between determinism and free will, which is obviously philosophy, right? My mind, so many questions anyway. Wow,
それはすごい
that
ね。
is impressive.
信じていないようだな。
そんなことはないよ。
Yeah, she doesn't care.
あまり興味がないだけ。
Oof. She's like, whether you can see the future or whether you can fly, whether you can turn invisible, fill in the blank, whatever superpowers that you have, doesn't matter. Because I've seen hundreds and thousands of comrades, people that have died before my eyes. And I will continue to witness hundreds and thousands of more great heroes like you, but nonetheless will be buried. Nothing but rotten flesh, unless they get eaten. Was that too soon? Right? So for her, again, Frieren is the ultimate hallmark. She's the ultimate landmark, actually, with this temporal perception. Because time and space is fleeting. The human lives are fleeting in an attempt to defeat the Demon King, the great seven sages, and anything in between. But her, she, and of course, Zairi and a few other characters, they are the seemingly permanent landmarks within this temporal existence of non-permanence. Permanence and non-permanence. That's why she's like, I don't really care. It's not because she is antisocial, she's selfish, but her aloofness is a representation of her immortality. And that also further speaks to her emotional development and her emotional growth. That she went from this very aloofness to willingly to reattach herself with Stark and Firm and Zine. Hopefully Zine found his gorilla friend warrior. Despite knowing her anticipatory grief, despite knowing this inevitable pending grief, because she will once again outlive all of her comrades and peers. She's like, doesn't matter. I'm willing to reattach myself and stay emotionally connected to my party because it is worth it. Grief is the price we pay to experience love. And I think Frieren understands that. That's her emotional growth. And again, this is a flashback to remind us how far she has come, truly.
君は七宝剣を知っているね。今から1年後の未来に、私は北部高原の地で全地の修羅鳩と
He knows the future. He's pending death. Wow. It's heavy, emotionally heavy. Oh, that must be it. So this is the foresight of the pending future.
私は死ぬのだ。
Man. Epic music. Epic
君へ
storytelling.
の必私の死という未来自体は変わらない。
He foresaw his future, his doomed fate. He will die without achieving his goal. Yet, sounds like he is still willing to go, embark on that journey, regardless of the dooming fate of his death. The amount of psychological, cognitive toll, emotional burden that comes with that foresight, bearing that foresight, is unimaginable because we don't see the future, right? Again, how would that directly impact our decision making? The things we pursue, the goals we pursue. Would you pursue that goal knowing 100% that you will fail?
君のもとに一人の若い勇者が
Oh my gosh, he knows the future. He really does. Wow. This is mind-boggling. My head hurts.
共に旅に出て魔王を倒すんだ。
そうなるとは
Really? Remember what I said? Different heroes with their legacy making, with the legacy they left behind, it's oftentimes, more often than not, planting seeds. And someone else has to come along and water that seed. And there are very few that might be fortunate enough to see that, to witness that seed blossoming into fruit of labor. It's the same thing for me, physicians, nurses, doctors, whatever. Many of helping professionals like myself, we are planting seed. Of course, with certain clients and patients, we could see the treatments being very effective right away. We could see them recovering, goals being met, emotions being relieved, right? That's amazing. But often we do not see that progress. We trust the process by being the most diligent as we can, by being caught up with evidence-based literature, practices. At the end of the day, though, many of us are plant seeders or seed planters, also plant seeders. And looks like Hero of the South is the embodiment of that. He is the one that plants the seed, but Himo the hero gets to sow that seed, water that seed, and actually gets to accompany with Frieren, the Grey Mage, our dear Frieren, that ultimately allowed them to defeat the Demon King. But again, despite that, Hero of the South, with his true heroism, again, call back to episode 12, with this true altruism, this bigger than self outlook, perspective, personality, character, the great character that he is, he willingly sacrificed himself, literally and metaphysically, and also symbolically, to plant that seed. By even informing Frieren that, hey, in the near future, a young man will come. Think about the impact of that seed planting. He literally planted a cognitive seed. And I can't help but wonder how much of that influence did that seed planting have that ultimately nudged Frieren to say yes to Himo the Hero's invitation. Especially, again, in hindsight 2020, knowing that the hero of the South sacrificed his life, embarking on the altruistic path in attempt to turn the tide against the 7 great sages, and in turn ultimately pave the road for Hero's party to defeat the Demon King. You guys see what I'm saying? The level of altruism and just, again, the capacity, the Hero of the South, and literally planting seed for Himo the hero. There's so many layers.
会えばわかる。彼は君の人生を変えるぞ。
Wow! Wow! How many years can Hero of the South see into the future? Is it also 1,000 years? Just like that gray sage? Is some sort of is this like the yin and yang? The light side and the dark side? Somehow these two characters, the gray sage and Hero of the South, share the same power of foresight? Wow.
一つだけ頼み事をしていいか？
何？
その青年に出会ったら伝えてくれ。
Whoa, sick transition. Oh my gosh. Ask him what? What's the question? Oh, she's asking.
道は必ずこの私が切り開くと。
Oh, goosebumps. Can you defeat the Demon King?
であるこの南の勇者がたとえ私の偉業が歴史の影に
Wow. I just have to, because that was so poetic. Even if I get buried in the shadow of the history. This is what altruism is. This is what makes him a real hero among many, but obviously of the humanity's strongest hero during the time, because he doesn't care about his legacy. He doesn't care about being memorialized. He cares about the journey, the process, being authentic to his calling, because he has this North Star. He has this calling that's larger than himself. He will pave the road, even if I'm buried in the shadow of history. But could you please defeat the Demon King? I feel like that's the question he asked Frieren to ask him, other hero. All of us stand on the shoulders of the giants that came before us. None of us are really self-made, because all of us stand on the shoulders of the giants that came before us. Our parents, our grandparents, other lineages. And that humility, it's touching. Wow.
何が未来が見えるだ。
That's wild.
こ
Yeah.
この人たちは覚えている。ちゃんと歴史に残っているよ。
Wow. That was an emotional flashback.
のんびりしていかないのかよ。お、魔法店もあるぜ。
Yo! Is this Frieren? Has Frieren been possessed by some other spirit, demonic spirit? Did she just say, hey, don't you know? Time is finite? Is this the Frieren that we know? That's always perpetually late? Who can never skip out on magic stores collecting very obscure, weird, funky magics, gems, collectible items? Is this the same Frieren that's always being nagged by Fern, the mom? Fern, the accountant? What? Who are you, Frieren? But of course, jokes aside, this is another tremendous emotional growth by Frieren. You remember, Frieren is of course their mentor to Stark and Fern, but mentorship is both ways, it's bi-directional. We often learn more from those that we mentor and teach than the other around. We might be teaching them subject matter expertise based on our backgrounds, but more often than not, my clients, they teach me more about life because life is trippy. You know, life is this very grand thing. And this is the reason why humility is important, especially intellectual humility, because otherwise we will be confronted with this invisible glass ceiling, bottleneck, so to speak. And we will not be able to evolve and progress and grow and get better because we think we know all there is to be known. That's an invisible ceiling cap. It's very dangerous. And we need to find that Goldilocks zone, the sweet spot between confidence because we put in the work and also humility, that we stay open to be taught, to grow. And of course, Frieren has that. We see Fern being very concerned. I think she's also sussed out like me. He's like, why? What's up with Frieren? This is not her usual self. What is going on? I think she is being very sussed out. Poor Stark, the errand boy.
これで全部だね。シュタルク、分かってるでしょ。
Frieren, who are you? How are you so fiscally conservative, financially responsible? What happened to you? Was that memory recall with Hero of the South that impactful that you changed your lifestyle and your behaviors? What is going on? Wow, you're creeping me out, Frieren. Something's going on. I can't even predict this. What is this foreshadow of?
銀だってそこまで余裕があるわけじゃないんだ。
Wow, Frieren. Dude.
なんだかずっと様子が変ですね。
Exactly. Something's off. Sus. That's right.
フリーレン様でございますね。領主様がぜひとも
Oh, she was trying to dodge the pending invitation from whatever lord of the city. And this is another callback to Flame the legendary mages imparting encouragement and hope for Frieren to stay low-key, stay unrecognized by the public. Of course, level 1 is so she can be very in incognito mode, so she can ultimately win against the Demon King. But 2, I think Flame the legendary mage, she knew the burden of fame, the recognition as the legendary mage. So she wished Frieren she wanted to shield her away from the publicity, being a public figure. But of course, despite her rushing, it was too late. That
晩
makes
餐
sense.
会にお招きしたいと、
私たち
Ah, she's like, psych, sayonara.
この領地を救ってくださった勇者様ご一行の一人、
We know, bro, obviously.
領主様も礼を尽くしたいと。
Free dinner though. Again, that was a very innocent scene. She's like, hey, Miss Frieren was part of the member of the heroes party that defeated the Demon King. My lord wishes to thank you all. She looked back. She paused and she looked back. Again, that speaks to her subtle yet undeniable emotional progress and emotional growth. She at last recognizes and appreciates the humanity, this interpersonal, the social cues, the social reciprocity. Being able to reciprocate someone's consideration and thoughtfulness by also being thoughtful. She didn't have all this before. She didn't really care because all of this is nothing but a trifling moment in her, the blip in her long, seemingly immortal, infinite existence. But here, she's like, fine. I think it will be nice and courteous for me to also, agreeing to their invitation. Because again, by saying no, she might be disheartening people's hospitality and great gestures of, respect, right? So again, that speaks to her growth. She's come such a long way.
お招きいただきありがとうございます。ダッハ伯爵。
Graf Dutch?
すごく
ダッ
嫌そうな顔してる。
フリーレン様、曽祖父の代はお世話になりました。
Whoa.
ご用件
Thank you for helping my great grandfather. This is a callback to the episode where they had to travel back to the winter, the northern land, to defeat that monster. It was episode 12. The sword episode, right? I guess this entire episode is a homage and a callback to that episode where the current person that she met with her was like, my great grandfather waited for you, but you never came for 80 years. So this is another callback to that. Thank you for helping out my great grandfather. Wow.
話が早くて助かりますな。
Straight to the point.
実は家宝の宝剣が魔族に盗まれてしまいましてね。
Heirloom sword. Another callback, right? Again, episode 12. A real hero in season 1.
また盗まれたのか。
Again.
また
曽祖父の代も盗まれている。
That's why she wanted to run away.
わかりました。報酬は魔導書で。
You see, again, we see how much Frieren has deepened her understanding of the humanity, human relationships, social reciprocity that I talked about. She did not dig in, she did not slice her steak, and she didn't actually start eating until he spoke of his request. And she's like, okay, that's doable. And she asked for her reward. Again, it's a fair trade. And then she started eating because she doesn't want to feel indebted to anyone, especially fleeting humanity. So again, that speaks to how much more human-like Frieren has become. Another proof of her tremendous emotional growth and interpersonal development.
まったく。北側諸国の強
あー
引な連
A lot of strings attached.
ここの領主の一族は特に無理難題を要求してくる。
Bruh,
暴君すぎない
for real.
まあ今回は魔族の逃げ
Also, how come he also said the Pringle mustache was all that inspired by Hero of the South?
結局宝剣が見つ
Oh,
か
that's
った
a
の
nice
は
sword.
シュベア山脈の頂だったよ。
とんでもねえな。
でも 魔族はなんで宝剣を盗んだのでしょうか。
Good question.
ダッハ伯爵家の宝剣はもともと名のある魔族のものだったからね。
Oh, was of the Great Sage?
しかわからない魅力があるんだろうさ。あの宝剣はヒンメルが取り返したものだからね。
Ah.
私が断ったらそれが無駄になっちゃうでしょ。
Look at the pause screen. Frieren's like, I had no choice. Seemingly begrudging, this, very unhappy, displeased even, but she's actually smiling. Your facial expressions, of course, our facial expressions could lie and be misleading, pro-social mask, facade we put on, but Frieren is not a human. The fact that her facial expression is smiling means that's how she truly feels despite her words. Himmel already brought it back once, so unless I do it, his effort will be in vain. All of this was a homage to Himmel the hero, his legacy. Makes sense.
ヒンメルならきっと見捨てないよ。
A real hero. Again, episode 12 callback. Again, the episode is very slow and almost very subdued in a way. Hopefully it's a setup for some climax fighting. Savage. Oh, sorry for muting all of the music because copyright strikes be relentless.
ひどいあれよですね。
It's in ruins, yeah. Must be a powerful demon.
誰もいないな。
いや、一人いるね。
A lot of crows. Obviously, a lot of death. What is that? Oh, demon. Oh, no.
この村の人。
いいえ、私は旅の僧侶です。あなた方は？
通りすがりの冒険者だ。
Very sus that a wandering priest will be here all alone. Is she the demon? Oh, okay.
私は村人を弔っていたのです。
Oh. R.I.P.
剣の魔族に滅ぼされた村は数知れず、どの村も皆殺しだったそう。
I like how creative the writers are. The demon that stole the heirloom sword demon. Obviously, their destination is the end, like literally the end of the world, like the edge of the world. Man, obviously sarcasm.
冒険者様方も
Oh, she's a real priest. Oh, they're falling asleep. I knew it.
フリーレン様。
I knew it.
やっぱり死体が埋まっていない。
She's a demon.
剣の魔族だからだよ。
I knew
死体なん
it.
て残っていないんでしょ。
Wow.
食べるために殺しました。
Yeah, right.
人以外も食べられるのに。
Got him.
なぜそれが人を食べない理由になるのでしょう。
やはり話すだけ無駄か。
I know there was a lot of huge debates in, I think, episode 9, obviously before introducing Aura and all that. Like, especially with that little demon girl episode with the village head and how that village head ended up getting slaughtered. And Himo, the hero, had to avenge for the village head. And I think that's when the rude awakening finally sank in that, oh, you cannot treat demons the same as humans. They're actually psychopathic genetically and they're hopeless in terms of trying to humanize one another. And I know there's a lot of fandom, supposedly they're like, oh my gosh, that's not the case, the demons are innocent, etc., etc. I think this is another callback to that debate and conversation. Why would that be a reason to not eat humans? Again, I have nothing against demons. I'm just talking about the fundamental wiring, the genetic makeup of these demons. They're not humans. They have no remorse. They have no empathy. They cannot learn and acquire this concept that we call common humanity. They're fundamentally different creatures, right? Would you blame a crocodile or great white shark for eating humans? No. That's what they do. That's what demons do.
倒すよ。
Let's go, peek! Yeah! Oof! Oh! Oh! Wow, great support. Nice. Oh, goosebumps. Holy shit, this sword demon's fast. Wow. Let's go. Stark the tank. Yo, peek. Let's go. I missed this. Ooh. Oh. Sayonara, sword demon. Psh, freaking dissipated into mana particles. Although I still don't know how exactly demons are made out of mana particles, since that was never fully answered in season 1, but I missed this. The long setup and literally 10-second fight scene, but think about how agile that sword demon was to penetrate through Fern the AK-47, Fern the freaking cannonball, right? That's how quick the sword demon was. Wow. But of course, Stark, most dependable frontliner. Oh, sick transition. Oh, his Himo the hero's optimism. Undeterring, uncompromised optimism. Amen, brother. Amen. Aww, a real hero. Ah, I miss Himo the hero's pose. Oh, look at Frieren smiling as she descended from being airborne. She was reminiscing about the good old times in the past, but now she's like, I get to do this again with Fern and Stark. Aww. What does that mean? She stopped her from praying? Wow. Holy crap, dude. That attention to details. Wow. Another lesson learned. That Fern and Stark's like, holy crap. This is the reason why Frieren, you are the great mage that helped defeat the Demon King. Again, such a subtle thing, but it speaks massive volume once again to spotlight Frieren's emotional development, her progression, her evolution, and her deepened understanding with humanity, human relationships, human habits. She understood that when you're about to pray, you close your eyes, and that will render you defenseless for that moment. That's why she interjected with that spell. For her to truly understand such a subtle nuance, behavioral nuances, it requires tremendous understanding of human behaviors. That's unbelievable. Frieren, you have come such a long way. And the second thing, this is yet another reference and a callback to Craft the Monk episode. I forgot the episode title, but it's Craft the Monk. When Craft the Monk offered, hey, could I pray for you? And Frieren's like, no need. Because I already have the people I care about that's praying for me. Heitzer the Bishop and Himo the hero with that flashback in that Craft the Monk episode. Frieren went from someone who does not believe in the goddess, who never prayed. I guess in the modern context, she was an atheist. To now, I'd argue she became more agnostic. Not religious, but still spiritual enough to respect the tradition, who recognize the important role of faith, hope. And then we see her bowing and closing her eyes and praying for those who are deceased, who've been slaughtered by the sword demon. Man, Frieren's journey, truly beyond journey's end. So wholesome and so deep. True. Oh, you see that? Frieren smiling. Yes, the city is safe again. But again, that's paying homage to what Himo the hero said. When you defeat a difficult demon, you save so many people in need. And that's the reason why I never abandon a person in need. That's why I'm sure she thought about Himo the hero yet again in that moment. Man, such an amazing episode. Nice.
伯爵様、随分と喜んでくださいましたね。
もう盗まれなきゃいいけどな。
I'm sure it will happen again.
魔族にとってそんなにも魅力的なら、また狙われてしまいそうです。
True.
じゃあ宝剣がある限り魔族が寄ってくるってことか。そんな危ないもんならいくら家宝でも手放した方がいいんじゃねえか。
そう簡単にはいかないよ。
It's what it represents. It's the symbolism behind it.
お貴族様ってあの手のお宝にやたらと固執するもんな。
I don't think it's the tangible value, the price of that heirloom, but I think that it's the symbolism of that heirloom represents the sacrifice. Or even I'll argue it's maybe related to Hero of the South. Maybe it was his weapon.
それもあるけど、下手に手放して魔族の手に渡る方が実は厄介なん
That too.
だ。魔族は手にした力を誇示せずにはいられないからね。
Oh, more slaughtering. That's true. Oh, nature nurture.
その魔族は町を一つ、
Jeez.
村を三つ滅ぼした。
マジかよ。
A lot of casualties.
しかもその時は、当時の伯爵家の使用人が魔族の還元に乗せられて手引きをしたとも言われている。
Wow. What's the actual state of affairs in this very like present tense between humanity and demons? Was there like an official ceasefire ordered, but they're still attacking, right, on a more minor, like a sparing context? Like, what's the actual state of affairs between humanity and the demon?
けどそれ以来、ダッハ伯爵家一族は封建を守ることを最優先としてきた。今は伯爵家だけじゃなく、この町全体の使命なのかもね。欲がある以上、魔が差すなんてことはいつだって起こり得る。
Temptations.
衝動に抗えないところがあるのは人間だって同じ
That's
だよ。
also true.
万一のた
Isn't that interesting? To close out the episode, Frieren's actually spotlighting the character defects of humanity. Human flaws are greed, lust, poor impulse control, lack of inhibitions, temptations. At the same time, nevertheless, the humanity's greatest strength is also hopefulness, altruism, self-sacrifice. I think this is truly what makes Frieren, the show, so unique, but also Frieren, the character, the protagonist, so unique. She truly has this empirical, objective account of what humanity is, the bad and the ugly. Yes, she accepts all of the humanity, all of our flaws, but also our strength. Because it's the stark contrast that reveals the beauty. Without our character defects, we would not appreciate our strength, right? Without addiction, we will not appreciate recovery. Without depression and sadness and grief, we will not appreciate and recognize happiness, gratitude, hopefulness, joy. It's the contrast that reveals the beauty. And Frieren recognizes that. And I think that's what humanity is so beautiful. Despite us being fundamentally flawed, imperfect, prone to mistakes, we can tap into our potential of growth mindset and get better in the process. Just like I think Hero of the South for me represents mortal agency, definition right here, mortal agency. Our humans' ability to make an autonomous decision despite whatever outcome or lack of guarantee and the certainty rather. Again, the questions I posed earlier, if we bear the burden and the power of foresight, will we still pursue? Will we still do what we said we would do, knowing that we might fail at the end of the day? Because Hero of the South did. And because of his moral agency and altruism and self-sacrifice, we see all these B-rolls, we see all these cameras zooming into the children running carrot-free, the city soldiers talking to them, the vendors. We see people smiling in the city because of Hero of the South's decision, his mortal agent's decision to pursue the inevitable despite his dooming fate of inevitable death. Isn't that what makes humanity so beautiful? Because of all those heroes that came before us, willing to do what it takes, willing to pave the road. Again, like what Newton said, we all stand on the giants of the shoulders that came before us. So
またお願い
beautiful.
しますねフリーレン様報酬次第かな
Ha! She's joking,
どうせ
obviously.
魔導書くれるって。
人が手に入っ
What did she get?
よかったですねフリーレン様
どんな魔法なんだ？
Washing fruits?
赤リンゴを青リンゴに変える
Ah, what? Yo. Yo, I'm dead. Yo, who here is team green apple and who is here is team red apple? Because they do taste slightly different, like purple grapes and green grapes. Slight difference. Anyway, enough of yapping. Hey, if you guys appreciated my in-depth psychological analysis in yapping, smash a thumbs up. If you guys noticed, algorithm has changed a lot. They're not recommending a lot of the creators' YouTube videos despite being subscribed. So please make sure you smash that thumbs up so that you don't have to miss out on the next series. And I hope you guys are enjoying my new YouTube content, 3 videos a week. Every Wednesday, every Frieren Friday, and every Saturday. And as always, I hope you guys recognize that to be a hero, because all of us are heroes of our own stories, all of us are experts of our own lives. It's not the outcome that determines our heroism, but rather our pursuit, our actions. We become what we do over time. It's the actions that define us. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And remember, you matter, you are worthy. Seriously. Until next time. Peace.